Love him or hate him, Johnny Silverhand is one of the most unforgettable characters in Cyberpunk. A loudmouth revolutionary guy with more baggage than a corpo exec on the run. But let's be real, sometimes he actually has a point. Today we're breaking down the top 5 times Johnny Silverhand was absolutely right, whether Night City wanted to admit it or not. Let's dive in. When you first get to Dogtown, your first task is basically to save President Myers after you go through a lot of pre-log stuff and introductory stuff. But actually you can fail it if you just decide to walk and turn away. But if you do, Johnny comes up and says basically that it's probably for the best and that is the right way to go, like it wouldn't have worked out anyway, which is basically correct because no matter what ending you get, it's basically kind of fucked, or it's not what it seems, like everybody's kind of lying to you, they just needed your help. So he's right in the sense that maybe it's just his intuition or something didn't seem right, but he's right about it probably not working out that way, and it'd probably just be best to pursue other options since it ends up just leading towards just bad tidings, I guess. So he was right just in the sense that he could see that it wasn't going to go that well, or that going down this route wasn't good.
NCPD
still with us?
not in Dogtown.
Oh, what happened?
Your presidential rescue op. Miserable failure. Honestly though, good fucking riddance.
Another thing that Johnny was right about is basically Arasaka in general. This is something that kind of sporadically happens throughout the game. He constantly kind of talks about how he doesn't like Arasaka and kind of goes into detail about some of the reasons on why those are. And he definitely looks at things from a skewed perspective, but as far as his points about Arasaka being a machine, and this is a direct quote, he says Arasaka is a machine fueled by broken dreams and crushed spirits. Basically, that's kind of basically true. They kind of dominate everything and they just kind of use people. And also he talks about how they're after everybody's souls, literally. And this is just straight up true because he got turned into he got digistructed and got his personality taken away by Arasaka, and this program's already kind of been implemented. Depending on the ending, it can happen to V2. So he's definitely right about them controlling people's souls and afterlife, and also just kind of crushing everybody. So even though he may have this vendetta, it somewhat comes from a point that it's justified. He's right about Arasaka. Maybe his perspective on how things happened and what he did was skewed, but as far as Arasaka being this greedy corporation that's kind of ruining people's lives, that's just straight up true, and a lot of what he says about that is true.
Okay, I'll tell you why I want to destroy Arasaka, but I'll only tell you once. Want to hear it?
All right.
I saw a corpse strip farmers of water, and eventually of land. Saw them transform Night City into a machine fueled by people's crushed spirits, broken dreams, and emptied pockets. Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots, and now they're after our souls.
Might be right. Can't really argue with you there.
V, I've declared war not because capitalism's a thorn in my side or out of nostalgia for an America gone by. This war's a people's war against a system that spiraled out of our control. It's a war against the fucking forces of entropy. Understand?
Another thing that Johnny Silverhand is right about is the idea of a good life in Night City being basically a lie and kind of a sham. That meaning in Night City they tried to have this illusion where the good life is settling down, climbing the corporate ladder, and working your way up. But it's just not how it is. It's cutthroat. They throw you away. You get used. It's all just basically an illusion, and that's never how it works. People are constantly getting killed or thrown away just for someone else to basically step on them and take their place. What kind of shows this, a really good example, is if you choose the life path of Corpo V and going through that, just seeing how quickly things can just turn on you and your whole life can basically just be ruined. Just with something small like that. Even if you follow the rules, there's someone looking to take you down or maybe frame you in a way that makes you look bad and puts you down and kind of makes you have to reset So that's a really good example, just going through that and seeing how it works. But all in all, yeah, that's a good example of how Johnny's right about how the corporate life is a lie and it's not even worth it because you're always watching over your back and like on your toes. Another thing Johnny was right about was not to take Haneko's deal. He says this the whole time leading up to it, and to take like other options, and also while you're contemplating it, but also during the deal. If it starts going too well, he'll even like force you out of it or start trying to take over if it starts going too well. So he's basically like championing not taking this deal because Arasaka basically isn't to be trusted and it's not a good route to take. And he ends up being right about this because later on when it goes, they tell you this whole time like they own everything, so they're the ones you want to go with and they'll be able to cure you, and they say that like everything will be okay, but they aren't even able to do it. Like they're not even correct about it. They basically lied. It was like way more advanced than they thought, and they basically just stick you in a soul prison and say if they find someone else they can put you in, they will, but there's nothing holding them to that, and they have no reason to do that. And even when you get out, you can choose to just leave. But even Takamura says straight up, like, she or Hanako never even cared about you. She doesn't even pay attention to you, so it's not even on her mind. She's definitely not going to free you. So you basically kind of like abandon all your friends and everybody you know, and it's not even like a guaranteed way to come back or to get healthy because you're basically just stuck in their like little test experiment for souls. And you even tried to steal from them in the beginning. In the main, depending on what ending you get, Saburo doesn't even like have any interest because he's pissed you stole from him. So this is probably like just straight up the worst option, and it's kind of something Johnny kind of knew about, or knew it wouldn't. It kind of goes similar to this, and it's kind of why he was so avidly against it and why he actually tries to take control and stop the deal. So that's just another thing he was right about.
Who asked you? Who wanted you to talk to me? Hanako?
She has forgotten you already. They called from here, from the clinic.
Another thing that Johnny is right about is basically about Reed being someone who basically just follows orders from President Myers and is someone who just kind of lives on principles and only lives by those principles even if it makes sense to kind of divvy from them, or it's like there comes a time where you have to kind of make a tough decision and kind of alter what you would normally do. He basically explains this when he's analyzing the situation during one of the missions, and he kind of explains, he kind of relates to him and feel like he would have actually kind of became someone like Reed if he would have kept continuing in the service and not deserted and left, which was kind of interesting. That little bit, I think, kind of explains why he's able to kind of guess like what Reed's about in his scenario and why he's right about that. Also, what kind of demonstrates like just how strongly Reed is someone who does like what Johnny talks about is like Reed was basically completely deserted by Myers and his whole like crew there, and they basically tried to kill him and do away with him, and he still like basically lives and serves whatever she does, and it's almost like he can't help it. So that kind of like just demonstrates like that's just who he is. He'll never deviate from that, and it's interesting that Johnny can kind of see that right away and sniff it out.
And Reed? Bastard and me are one and the same. If I hadn't ghosted the army, I'd have become a Reed myself. Live and die by our principles.
And there you have it, 5 solid reasons why Johnny Silverhand was right all along. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that his fight against the system had some valid points. What do you think? Was Johnny Silverhand just a reckless anarchist, or did he see the truth before anyone else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and until next time, at ease.